team's perspective?
We started the day 120 odd without loss, and couldn't quite get to India's first total target. But look, we battled hard. Conditions changed throughout the day, and we got to have a little bowl at them tonight and get one really important wicket. So look, we could have always scored more runs and would have liked to, but it wasn't to be. But look, heads are up, and yeah, the boys are looking forward to a good day tomorrow.
Just a quick comment on your partnership with Tom Latham, 151, a bit of a record stand as well. Yeah, I suppose how much did you enjoy batting with him? What were the conversations you guys were having out there as you ticked past the many milestones?
Yeah, Tom's a lovely man to bat with. He very cool customer. He's been very successful in these conditions before, and yeah, I've had the pleasure of batting with him from club cricket and Christchurch right the way up to international cricket now. So Tom was awesome. We sort of kept each other going and discussed various options of where to score and how to score. And yeah, it was just nice to tick off a wee milestone like that, Willie. But yeah, no, hopefully we can replicate the same and have another strong partnership in the second innings.
Cool. Just before I pass it over to Kushan, just on your own batting, obviously we saw you score runs in the Edgbaston Test against England as well. Now to back that up with another contribution, you must be feeling, I suppose, quite content with your game where it's at.
Yeah, I think it's just an innings at a time, really. You can't really rest on your laurels at all in this game, especially as a batsman. So look, I'm just grateful for another opportunity to represent New Zealand and wear the fern and contribute with the bat and score as many runs as I can.
Cool. I'll pass it across to Kushan, and then we'll go to Ian Anderson from Stuff after Kushan.
Yeah. Yeah. Hi, Will. My question is: yesterday, the last two sessions that you played, and when you did any or the pace of the deliveries that which the Indians were bowling? If you could just tell us about that.
I'm sorry there, I've lost pretty much half of your question through the audio. Do you mind repeating that?
Hello. Am I audible?
Yep, I can hear you now. Can you repeat your question, please?
Hello.
Kushan, you're just having some internet problems there. I think the question may have been about the pace of the Indian spinners, but we'll go to Ian Anderson at home and Stuff, and then we'll come back to Kushan. If you want to even type your question, I can ask it to Will. Thanks.
Yeah, hi, Will. Just a little further on what you're saying about how the pitch changed a little bit. What was the difference between day 2 and 3 throughout sort of day 3 today?
Yeah, good question. I think right from day 1, there were visible cracks on the wicket. End of day 3, I know it's winter here in India, but it's still 28 degrees, and I guess the cracks potentially are just opening up a little bit further, as well as 3 days worth of fast bowlers, creating footmarks and a bit of a rough for the spinners to aim at. So I think obviously the rough has grown, but also potentially the cracks are starting to open up fractionally, and therefore a little bit of uneven bounce too. I think a lot of our batsmen today were beaten by low bounce, back of bounce. So yeah, I suppose that's like a general summation of where the wicket's at now, and I'd expect for those things to continue further for the next 2 days.
And Will, I have another question.
Sorry. Still going. Well, was it tough for the batsmen to try and find that balance between sort of caution and batting time and some sort of controlled aggression to try and sort of take over the game a little bit, given the wicket, I suppose, being a key factor?
Yeah, look, I think each batsman's gone out there with their own method of how they're going to combat the conditions, and also the Indian bowlers who are highly skillful in these conditions. And different days, different methods work. You're right; it is tricky to find that balance between defence, spending time in the middle and getting used to those conditions, and also aggression and how to take those calculated risks to keep the scoreboard ticking over. So yeah, as I say, everyone's got their own methods, and yeah, I mean, there's still 2 innings. Both teams have have got a bat on it in the second innings. So it'll be really interesting to see how both teams go about that as the game progresses.
And just one more on a personal front regarding your innings. Was there thoughts coming into your mind of a ton looming there for a while?
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, my maiden test ton is in the back of my mind. But look, I think the only way you're going to get there is by concentrating as hard as you can on each and every ball you face. And I fell short today. Hopefully in the second innings and hopefully further tests to come, there'll be more opportunities to tick that one off.
Excellent. Cheers.
Oh, I think we've lost Krishan there, so we might wrap it up there, everyone.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can I go ahead with my question?
We've got you at the moment.
Will saw a picture of you maybe a few years back in India where you were told to practice by your then Canterbury coach Gary Stead without a pad on so that you can sweep well. Could you just tell us about that? Like to tackle the spinners how Stead told you?
Yeah, you did right. So it would have been 3 or 4 years ago now. Gary Stead was the coach of Canterbury, domestic team back home. And I jumped on the back of a bunch of keen cricketers to come over and learn about the art of batting and playing spin in India. Gary, at one point, we were training for nearly 2 weeks in these conditions. And at one point, one of the drills was to sweep without the front pad on. And I know what you're referring to. I saw a photo in an article at the time, and I was down on one knee sweeping without a pad. So it's just the old, better use your bat, otherwise your shin's going to get bruised. So it was one thing that Gary threw at me back in the day. It's still a work in progress, the sweep shot, but yeah, a good drill.
And Niharika to finish, please.
Hi, Will. Niharika this side. My question for you is that what are the main takeaways from you from this knock of 89 as an opener in Indian conditions?
That's a good question. I think there's just the ebbs and flows of a test innings over here. Walking out to bat with Tom first up, there's obviously the new ball to contend with, and the seamers. There's only 2 seamers in this Indian side at the moment. So first up, you've got to see if the ball's swinging, if it's the bounce of the wicket, if there's nip, sideways movement, things like that, and then you get through that phase of the partnership, and then it's right spin and the new ball with a hard seam, and you get through that stage, and you're with your mate, and you're conversing, communicating, seeing what's working and what's not, what the options are. And I think there's going to be times in the test innings where you're struggling to score, where you're potentially on top, but that's all good. You're sort of just riding the wave and ultimately batting as long as you can. Small targets. Tommy and I kept each other going, and it would have been nice to keep batting with him this morning a bit longer, but it wasn't to be. But I think that's the main takeaway is to play the long game and ride those ebbs and flows.